Ward 8 voters, and welcome to our replay of the Ward 8 Candidate Forum for At-Large Council. I'm Troy Dante Presswood, President of the Ward 8 Democrats. Be sure to click like and click share across all social platforms so all of our Ward 8 family and friends can get a kind reminder that it's election season here in DC, here in Ward 8, and it's time to vote. The Ward 8 Democrats have organized this forum to provide you with valuable insights from the candidates vying for our support. Now, before we delve into the replay, I want to offer you a quick reminder that voting is now underway and you have several convenient options to cast your ballot. First, you can return your mail-in ballot at any of the designated drop box locations located throughout the city. A list of the locations here in Ward 8 are now on your screen. Feel free to take a screenshot of them right now so you'll have it for later. If you prefer, you can also drop off your completed ballot in the mail or at a post office. You can use a drop box location. They close at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, June 4th. If you're using the mail, it must be postmarked by primary election day to count. For those who wish to vote in person before Election Day, early vote centers are available for your convenience. Here we have listed the locations here in Ward 8. You can also take your completed mail-in ballot to a vote center if you must. And if you need to register or update your voter registration, you can do that at any vote center in Ward 8 or anywhere in the district. And lastly, the final day to vote is Election Day, Tuesday, June 4th. These vote centers will be open here in the ward. Feel free to screenshot them right now so you'll have it at your ready. Tuesday, June 4th is the final day to cast your ballot in person, so be sure to get your vote in on this date and bring 4 or 5 friends and plus some family members with you, as they should cast their vote as well. Now, although I've shown you the locations here in Ward 8, you can vote anywhere in the district. Now, you can visit ward8dems.com/ward8votes for all the latest information to help you vote successfully in the June 4th primary. From where you can vote to sample ballots and videos of all of our forums, we got you covered at that website. Remember, your vote is your voice, and it shapes the future of our community. Don't delay, make your choice, and participate in the political process. Now, let's delve into this forum and hear directly from candidates vying for our support. Pay close attention, as their words will guide you in making an informed decision at the polls. Enjoy. Well, with that being said, let's get started with our forum. I want to introduce to you today's moderator. Khalik Barnes I'm taking his age down. My bad. Khalik Barnes is a 16-year-old junior at Thurgood Marshall Academy and is a resident here in Ward 8. As a licensed minister, Khalik has been spreading the word of God since he was 5 years old. Additionally, he is a passionate youth advocate working tirelessly to empower young people here in Ward 8 and throughout the district. Khalik works with council members and he works with our mayor to advocate for change. That is a true servant leader in our community. But that's not all. Khalik is also a trained entrepreneur, or a talented entrepreneur rather, running his own business called Barnes Digital Design, specializing in graphic designing, business management, and ministry. Khalik's dedication to his academics is commendable as he strives to pursue his dreams of attending college. And we are proud to have him here today at the Ward 8 Democrats. Khalik, welcome.
Thank you. Hello, how are you? I appreciate you, Troy, for allowing me to come on. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Khalik Barnes. As you said, I go to Thurgood Marshall Academy, a junior. And I'm definitely excited to be here to moderate this amazing event on today. So thank you to everyone who are watching us online. We hope that you gain some insight, gain knowledge, and gain understanding of what's going to happen on today. So this forum we have is very amazing, and it's a good one today. We're going to have our Ward 8 Democrats Forum, engaging in three amazing conversations with candidates who are trying to become or attempting to become the next at-large council member in the DC Council. And so with this forum, we're going to get more information of who they are, what their plans are, what they strive to do, specifically here in Ward 8 and throughout the district, different policies they may, have, their vision, and just simply how can they make an impact on Ward 8 residents and on people like me. So the conversation that we're going to have today is going to last around a good 45 minutes. And it will be a debate style kind of forum. And you'll also be timed. So initially I'll be asking you a few questions. But this forum is specifically for those who are here and those who may be watching live. You may have the opportunity to ask questions, get more information, just using the raise your hand feature. And I'll make sure that your voice is heard. And for those who may be online, I'll make sure that we have a list of your questions and they'll be picked. We'll try to get to most of them, but if not, you'll be able to ask them eventually. So yeah, you can post your questions in the chat, like I said, using hashtag Ward8 votes. And we'll try to get to many as possible. So with that being said, before we begin, do we have any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, we can begin. So as far as the first round do you have something to say? Okay. As far as the first round, we're going to have each candidate will be given 1 minute, 60 seconds for an opening statement. We'll start with 1 minute responses to questions and then move on to 30 seconds responses as we get closer to the ending gap of our portion. And we may also move to rapid fire questions with short responses for very short answers. And yes.
Hey, Kalik, it's LaJoy. I'm your timekeeper. So to all the candidates, I'm going to be timing you. When you get to 30 seconds, you'll see 30. It may be backwards. And then when you get to time, it's going to say stop. Okay? All right. I'm going to go back on mute. If you can't see me, let me know so I can make sure you can see the time. All right. And congratulations and good luck.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So let's make sure that we're trying to at least stay on time a little bit and make sure that we're obedient to make sure that we have things done in decency and in order. So with that being said, if there's any other questions or comments, we can get started with our first forum. We're excited. So under the District of Columbia's legislative branch, there are 4 at-large council, at-large members on the DC Council. There are 2 are elected to 4-year terms every presidential election year, and 2 to 4-year terms every non-presidential election year. We are obviously in the presidential year. 2 candidates are running for this seat. As you can see, we have here Robert White, and we also have Rodney Red Grant. And they are Rodney White is running for re-election to a 3rd term. And then Rodney Red Grant is the challenger. So now we're going to meet them and let's see what we get into. We can have Robert White.
Thank you so much, Kalik, for moderating. Thank you to President Presswood and the Ward 8 Dems for hosting this and for the DC Democratic Party. I'm at-large council member Robert White. I'm a 5th-generation Washingtonian, and for the past 7 years, I've had the absolute honor of representing my city on the DC Council. I ran for this position because I felt like we needed more doers, doing things that impacted folks like my family and communities like mine. And so as soon as I got elected, I got to work making major national reforms on returning citizens to help our returning citizens, major national reforms on early childhood education. But then I pushed further, a full reform of the DC Housing Authority so our residents can live with dignity, focusing on crime, both our response and prevention. How do we help our young people more? Getting to the root causes of problems, creating a free master's in social work program for residents so that people from our community can be a part of the solution in our community. There's so much more to do, and I look forward to talking to you about it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Grant, we can have you.
Thank you so much for having me today. I want to thank Mr. Presswood. I want to thank the Ward 8 Dems. This is a special forum. My name is Rodney Red Grant. I'm a Southeast DC native and a Washingtonian by heart and by nature. I love this city of Washington, D.C., and people always ask me, why should they vote for me? Because I'm already doing the work. We're already doing the work of being the chairman of vocational education, bringing it back to Washington, D.C. schools. We're going to push that because we know our young people need vocational education. We know our programs like Don't Shoot Guns, Shoot Cameras have been in Ward 8 for 3 years, showing young people filmmaking from thought to theater, and we're showing them how to be effective leaders in Ward 8. And also me and my wife at Beyond Your Block, where we take our young people off their block and take them to the White House, African American Museum, Commanders games, and we're going to continue to take our young people off their block and show them different things. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about today's forum.
Okay, thank both of you. We appreciate you. So we're gonna jump into the questions that we do have. And any of as far as right now, I believe any one of you can answer the question. But we're gonna start with Mr. White. So the first question that I do have is, how would you work to improve education and school quality in underserved areas such as Ward 8?
Education is the most important thing that we do as a city. It is the thing that has allowed me to do the things I've done in life, which is distinct from most of my family members who have been priced out of this city and continue to struggle with basic issues. So first, we need to support our teachers. I've been a leader in the council in keeping our teachers in schools. We need to get rid of the outdated impact teacher assessments that's causing teachers to leave our schools that are struggling the most. We need to incentivize those teachers to stay in those schools. And we also need to address the mental health issues that our students are facing when they're seeing the types of issues they're seeing in their communities every day, that when we're expecting them to perform at top notch in their classrooms without giving them the supports that they need. That's why I fought to get mental health workers and social workers in our schools, created a free pipeline for people to be able to do that work. And I focused on things like financial literacy and vocational education, the things that are going to help our young people in the long run. Those are the kind of solutions we need coming from members of the council, and those are the ones that I've been offering.
Thank you. All right, same question to Mr. Grant. How would you work to improve education and school quality in underserved areas like Ward 8?
Well, like I said, we're already working with schools like Ketchum, elementary schools. We already in schools like Johnson Middle School, where we already implemented the programs like Don't Shoot Guns, Shoot Cameras, and Beyond Your Block. So we're already doing the work that a council member should be doing. We believe in a boots on the ground type of approach, where we fought with our teachers and students over at Sousa Middle School, and we're going to continue to fight for East of the River schools, Ward 8, and it's about having a fighter in office. You know, people need to follow people they recognize and they know that's going to fight for them, and I'm that person.
Okay, thank you. So the next question, Mr. White, is what strategies would you propose to improve public safety and reduce crime in Ward 8 and across the district?
Thank you for that question, Khalik. I've been a leader in this work. If we're going to reduce crime, we have to do two things. One, we have to respond to crime. That means we need to fix our broken 911 call system because folks are not getting an answer when they're calling in an emergency. And second, we need to fix our broken crime lab. I have been on the front lines of those fights. That's how we turn the corner on crime that we're seeing across our city. But we also have to focus on prevention. So I came out several weeks ago with a prevention bill that focuses on three major things. One, the biggest expansion of vocational education our city has ever seen. Two, mentors available to every single student in our schools, and I have a plan for it. It's in legislation. And three, more aggressive resources for truancy. That's the earliest sign that our young people are going off track. That's when we catch them and get them back on the right road. If we follow the prescription that I've developed, and I'm working with my council colleagues to do that, we're going to see crime go down and we're going to see more of our young people be more successful.
Mr. Grant, same question.
We're talking about reducing crime in our city. Our city is on edge right now, and people in office are saying that they're reducing crime. But a few days ago, we had 71 shots on Spring Road ring out in our city, and it's ringing out every day in Ward 8. So crime is not being reduced by any of these methods that my colleague is speaking on. We have to be really, really passionate about resetting what we're doing. The council has to have people to understand the individuals in these communities that are going through these situations. You know, young people are hurting out here right now. You know, they have mental issues, yeah, but they also want to learn different things, be involved with different innovative things. We have to put that in our schools. Coding, gaming, all of these things that they love, to bring them to school. Truancy can stop if we give them things that they want to do when they get to school.
Okay, thank you. And just a follow-up question, and you can answer this 30 seconds for me. When it comes down to public safety within the perimeter of schools, how can we go about to making that effective for, swift transitions and making it effective for like around the school perimeter?
Are you asking me, right? Okay, cool. All right. So, public safety around schools is the most important because our young people have to get to and from school to get their education, and also on public transportation, because a lot of the situations that are happening on public transportation trying to get to school. So we got to make it safe for our young people to get to school and be in an environment. But also, we have to have more officers just around the school watching out just to make sure our young people are safe. We don't want no violence happening around our young people because that's what they want to do, get their education.
Yes, sir. Mr. White, you have anything to add?
Yes, I've talked to hundreds of young people about the issues they're facing, because you can't solve problems with young people if you're not talking to them. What they're telling me is that they are not participating in after-school programs because if it gets dark before that program ends, they're worried about how they're going to get home safely. That is a problem. So one, pushing our Safe Routes to School program better. It is not working as effectively as it should, which is why I've been putting pressure on the mayor to focus on that. The second is communication between MPD and our schools. Teachers and principals keep telling us they're not hearing from MPD about what's happening and how to keep their kids safe.
Thank you. All right, next question. How would you approach economic development and job creation in Ward 8, which has historically faced high unemployment rates? I can ask Mr. White.
First, we start by doing something that I've done. I'm looking at businesses, thriving businesses in Ward 8 that employ and engage local people and communities being displaced. So I worked with Ron Moten and with other business owners to help them buy their buildings, which is something the government had not done since Barry's years. That is a model that I want to continue to expand so that we are getting local business owners hiring local people. The second thing we have to do is incentivize the types of businesses that are needed in Ward 8, but also that want to go into Ward 8 and Ward 7. You're not going to force folks who don't want to be there. And frankly, if they don't want to be there, we don't want them there. But we need the business owners who want to be part of the community, who are going to give back, who are going to hire local people. That's where economic development starts. But we have to make sure that people in Ward 8 are business owners and top level employees, not people coming into the community, taking the community's money and getting the heck out of the community. That's not what we need.
Thank you. Mr. Grant.
Yeah, business in Ward 8 can be super successful right now, but we have to give people incentives. We're losing more businesses in DC right now than we're gaining. People are leaving the city. We have to give tax breaks, tax incentives, put legislation in place that's going to give people who are from Ward 8 the opportunity to own more, to do more, and be business owners in Ward 8. It's not rocket science. I'm a pragmatic Democrat. I think in a common sense way. You give people breaks, they have an opportunity to get on their feet. And we're not getting people enough breaks out here. We're making it hard for them to get business, have businesses in Ward 8. We're making it hard for them to have business in DC because everybody is running down on them and making them pay more taxes and making them feel uncomfortable, can't have any parking in front of their businesses. And that's taking away business. It's getting ridiculous. We're not protecting the business owners themselves.
Okay. Thank you. And that ties into our kind of ties into our next questions. What initiatives would you propose to support small businesses and encourage entrepreneurship in Ward 8? We can start with Mr. Grant.
Well, I'll continue on what I'm saying about businesses and giving them tax breaks. This is important, and not only a lot of people just don't know the information. The information is not right there for them to grab, and we got to make it more accessible for our Ward 8 residents. It's a shame that you can go uptown and they're giving all kinds of businesses to different people. Then you go to Ward 8, it's being selfish, but they're giving buildings away for $1. Well, why our residents can't get buildings from $1? Why we can't educate our residents of how to get generational wealth? Well, we want them to stay in generational poverty? No, we got to give people opportunity to have generational wealth, and that's what I bring to the table.
Thank you. Mr. White.
We need to be focused on actual solutions. So the city has tried tax breaks, and what resulted was a number of businesses that came and they were closed weeks after they were open, and that meant people lost jobs, taxpayers lost money, and people in those communities weren't any better off. That's why I'm saying we need the folks who want to be there, but then we need to make sure for the folks who do want to be there, we're helping them pay their mortgage for the first year. We're incentivizing them to hire people from the community and making sure they know if you are getting taxpayer money, then you have got to hire residents from Ward 8, because this has to be an economic ecosystem that is helping everyone. That's where our focus has to be. Who are the folks who want to be there? Do they provide what the community needs? And are they hiring people from the community? That's the recipe that's going to benefit. But we also need the administration to be better with these regulations and licensing, because it is too hard to start a business anywhere and everywhere in the district, especially if you don't know somebody high up in the administration. That's a symptom of a broken system.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question would be, what strategies would you implement to increase access to healthy food options and address food deserts in Ward 8? We can ask Mr. White.
There are a couple of things we have to do. First, we have to focus on things that we see working, like farmers markets, people who are bringing fresh foods to our communities and making those foods financially accessible. The second thing we have to do is utilize technology. Brick and mortar stores are not the only solutions these days. Such a large percentage of people are having food delivered to them. For the money that we could use to incentivize stores to open, we can also use that money to get food for free to the doorsteps of people, particularly seniors who are already having enough difficulty getting access to fresh foods. I will tell you, anybody who says just offer incentives to grocery stores and they'll come has not talked to these grocery stores. This is a much more complex solution. So as we figure that out, which I believe the solution is smaller grocery stores, we need to make sure we're not just sitting on our hands, but we're looking for things that can work right now.
Mr. Grant.
I try to stay patient in these conversations, but it's really weird to me. A person who's been in office for 7 years is talking about, giving these breaks of a year and paying, but they had the opportunity to do this for 7 years. I believe that if we're going to really, truly be saving our people as far as giving them real nutrition, we have to do it on a daily basis. Weekly, I do it with my partners over at the Rich Kid Foundation. We feed so many people every Wednesday and Tuesday with fresh food from Whole Foods. I'm talking about boots on the ground. Let's get out the Wilson building. Come with me and I'll show you how to feed our community right now.
Okay, thank you. Here we go. Our next question, one of my favorites right here. What is your position on dealing with parental responsibility for crimes committed by their children? I'm going to add something. How do you feel as if by you holding parents accountable, will it change the outcome of what our youth are doing in Ward 8? We can start with Mr. Grant.
Oh, hold on,
Well,
Mr. Grant, before you start, Khalik, because you added another question. Do you want to give them a minute and 30 instead of just a minute? Okay.
Okay.
Hold on, Mr. Grant. Let me give you another 30 seconds.
yeah, thank you. I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
and go.
All right. So, well, parenting is already difficult. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and it's already hard because when kids are going through teenage years, they're going through their, they think they swing, they know they they smart, they really smart. You guys are super smart, so we can't just look at our teenagers as they don't know what's going on. They do. They actually know more than us. So when we're dealing with our young people and our parenting, it's a real fine line. But I'm a parent. I believe that parents should parent, but we also have to get to the root of the problems. Why are our kids, parents doing what they're doing? Are they having trouble? Are we going to get them help? How do we get our parents that can't, handle these situations help? Because our young people are crying out for help. And you can see it in the way that they're acting. If we don't have parents involved in the whole relationship, we're going to lose our community. It takes a village to raise a community. So sometimes it's going to take other people to parent now. We got to bring in community leaders. Our returning citizens going to have to come. Our good men going to have to step up. Now it's time for others to help. So I believe that if we put the right energy into it, we're going to have better kids, better parents, but we do have to hold parents accountable.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Same question, Mr.
Thank you. Every time I look on the news and I see a 14, 15-year-old involved in something like a carjacking at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, my first question is where are the parents and what are the parents doing? There has to be accountability for parents who are not providing the type of guidance and loving discipline that children need. And we need to turn that corner. Now, this is where this issue gets really difficult. I've spoken to a parent who reached out to me because one of her son's friends was shot, and she was saying, I keep telling him to go to school. I'm pushing him to do the right thing. I don't know what else to do. And this was a mother who loved her son and wanted to keep her son safe, but the son wasn't listening to her. What we have not yet figured out is how do we hold a parent who is neglectful accountable without holding accountable a mother who's trying to do everything she can and who has other kids. So if we find that mother, if we send that mother to jail, are her kids going to do better? They're not. So we need to get better resources to parents, and we can do that. So in addition to better resources for parents, we need to make sure we have mentors for our young people who stand in the gap, people who stand in the gap for those young people who don't have the guidance at home. That's why in the crime prevention bill that I push, one of the things that I'm trying to get done is mentors and tutors for young people across our city because they need more guidance than they're getting at home. So as we help to resource the parents and we have models for that, we also need to stand in the gap for kids. These are doable things that I'm already working on.
Okay. Thank you. So our next one is did any of you had anything to add?
I mean, I would say, Robert, you can come out here and mentor with me because I'm mentoring on a daily basis. So we can mentor together because it's going to take leaders to get out of that office and mentor.
Yes.
That's nice, sir. I mentor a number of young people, but the thing that we have to recognize is
Well, I know,
that you have to be creative. Don't interrupt me, brother. Don't interrupt me. I'll let you speak. Okay. So,
people.
All right, moderator, are we going to do the back and forth, or am I
Hold
going to
on, hold on. Let's do this. Hold on.
No, I'm not going to do
Mr.
that.
Grant, we're going to give Mr. Grant, hold on. This is LaJoy. I'm your timekeeper. I'm speaking. Thank you so much. What we're going to do, Khalik, I think you should give them each 30 seconds to respond. You call on each candidate. As your timer, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and then I'm going to put up the stop sign, and we're going to do it that way. We're going to be respectful here in Ward 8. Does everyone understand?
Yes, LaJoy.
Thank you so much. Khalik, please call the candidates and give them 30 seconds to respond.
Okay, we're gonna have Mr. Grant, 30 seconds.
I'm gonna be respectful to the timekeeper, Ms. LaJoy, but I'm out in these streets on a daily basis with these young people, and we're taking real guns out of their hands and replacing them with cameras. And our community needs our leaders to get out into the community, not sit in the office anymore. You know, that's old school. That's cool, but we need a boots on the ground type of approach to the situation, and that's what I am. I'm a boots on the ground type of leader, and I'm gonna continue to be that type of leader. And I'm asking every leader in the city to be that type of leader.
Mr. White.
All right. Thank you. I mentor a number of young people. I don't make a show of it, so you won't see it on my IG. But I also recognize that for each of us, there's only so much we can do individually. That's why we have to make sure we are working both inside and outside of the Wilson building. So outside of the Wilson building, I mentor young people. Inside the Wilson building, I create systems to help people across the city mentor more young people. There are 35,000 DC government employees. If and when my bill passes that I introduced a few weeks ago, every one of them will be able to take leave from work just to mentor young people. So I'm talking about broad solutions, not this one-by-one stuff.
Okay, thank you. So for our next question, Councilmember White, the DC Council recently voted to support a $500 million investment in Chinatown. How would that impact Ward 8 regarding employment, access to space in Chinatown, business contracts, construction contracts, and things like that?
Great question. So the amount that the city will get back for programs from that $500 million investment is a lot bigger than $500 million. That money goes into our government funds that fund programs across our city. In addition to that, keeping our two sports teams maintains 1,200 to 2,000 full-time jobs and about 2,000 part-time jobs as well. And we are making sure that many of those jobs go to DC residents and specifically residents of Ward 8. But we need to make sure we're going further. So I'm talking to Monumental about opportunities for local businesses, local artists. The economy downtown being strong is going to help our entire city, but there are also more opportunities for Ward 8 businesses, entrepreneurs, and artists to get broader visibility inside Capital One Arena. And that's something I'm working with Monumental Sports on right now.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Grant, same question. How would that impact Ward 8?
I would say, you know, when I go to Capital One Arena, you see so many people that are employed by Capital One from Ward 8. So, you know, downtown DC businesses, we have to keep it booming and thriving because it employs so many people in our city, especially in Ward 8. But we got to do other things. Like Atlanta is making about $8.2 billion a year in filmmaking, and we're making about 5 to 7 million. We need to increase that, give that energy into filmmaking also, and give our young people opportunity to roll into that, be the next filmmakers, be the next giant city. Why Atlanta is the only places that we can go to make films. Let's make DC the next film making city, and we can make about $7 to $8 billion and add that to our economy.
Thank you. Any other concerns or additions? Mr. White.
I'm gonna give you each 30 seconds to respond. Okay, so hold on, Mr. Moderator. Let me reset the timer. Okay, Councilmember White, go ahead.
Thank you. I want to hear more about this plan. The biggest impediment to filmmaking in the district government in DC is federal restrictions that DC has been trying to lift from the federal government for many years with no success. The other thing we need to make sure is that we understand whether we're spending money well. If you look at the return on investment for what we spend trying to attract films to come here, we lose money at this point. So the idea that we're just going to incentivize and there are going to be more films in DC is one that is not fully informed.
No, that's not true. That's not true, Robert, at all. I think you need to do more research. You need to go a little deeper and have people do a little bit more research on what's going on. Filmmaking is making cities a lot of money, and if you incentivize it properly, you will see it grow. But you have to put energy into it. You know, don't just cut it off before you don't cut your nose off before you spite your face.
Okay, thank you. So Councilmember Grant, what will be your most looming proactive legislation to help livability for all our youth, young adults, and elderly? Um, you can answer that.
Well, I'm always about protecting our young people and our seniors. You know, that's why we go to our senior homes every week and do programming with our seniors, because our seniors are suffering sometimes because people forget about them. You know, they're struggling to make ends meet. You know, a lot of them can't work anymore. So we got to put that energy back into helping our seniors, our most vulnerable people, our most vulnerable constituents in our and DC is sometimes forgetting about our seniors. They're forgetting about our young people. We got to just continue to put that energy into a programs. You know, why not go to the and play bingo with our seniors? I do it every Tuesday and Wednesday also. That's what we do. We go and be involved so our seniors can have more things and be and using their energy. They're in there ready. They partying too. You put a little music on, they're ready. So we got to get that energy. We can't forget about the people who paved the way for us.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Councilmember White.
Thank you. So first, we need to make sure we are building stronger young people. One that's going to make sure that our younger people are standing in the gap better for our seniors, but our seniors are a big part of that. I continue to hear from seniors, some of them retired, some of them semi-retired, who say they want to help young people learn to sew, learn financial literacy and life skills. And we have some models. We have a building in the city now in Ward 4 that is intergenerational. There are seniors and there are young people who have aged out of the adoption system. This is a beautiful model that we can replicate across our city. But we also need to make sure, and this is an important part of that recipe, that we are tapping into the wisdom and experience and love of our seniors, because they can help guide so many of our young people, and our young people can give them in return the services and the help that they need. But we need to make sure that we're creating programs that empower that.
Thank you, Councilmember White. Next question is, my apologies. Next question is, how do you feel about Initiative 83? Do you support it? We can ask Councilmember White.
I don't support Initiative 83 at this time. I think it solves one problem and creates another. And let me say more. The Initiative 80. I'm sorry, to the asker of the question, I'll have to spend some of my answer time explaining what Initiative 83 is. Would you mind saying what it is so I can use my time speaking about my position?
Hey, this is Troy Presswood. I do appreciate the question, Councilmember White. I will just point people to our previous forums where we've talked about Initiative 83, where they can go and watch that. And so I think just for the purposes of the time that we're doing right now, you can just go ahead and just give them your view on it. And then we will, again, point people to our previous forum on it.
Okay.
So we don't, yeah, but we can restart your time. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
is this a question or just a regular question? Is this a yes or no or explanation?
It's a 1 minute question.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. So in ranked choice voting, where people get to vote for multiple people, the idea is that it will lead to better elections where people get elected with a majority of votes. My concern is that there is already an election in DC where people get multiple votes. It's the at-large general election. And if you look at the entire history of the at-large race, people bullet vote in DC. So the top vote getter, it gets a ton of votes. Then there are more undervotes than there are votes for the second highest vote getter. So we in DC have a culture of bullet voting. What I've never been able to get a clear answer to is what happens to the integrity of elections and ranked choice voting if the majority of people bullet vote. And so because I'm still not comfortable that we have an answer to that question, I don't support ranked choice voting at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Grant.
No, I do not support ranked choice voting. Because of a few reasons. I feel like we should be putting energy into getting our young people to vote. I think we should be putting energy into making sure high school kids going into high school, as soon as they get there, they know when they're a senior, they're going to vote. Put that energy into our young people. And I don't know where ranked choice voting is going to disturb the Democratic Party in itself. So I'm a little weary about it, and that's why I'm leery. So it hasn't really been fully explained to how it's going to really benefit the Democratic Party. So that's why I say no to it. Because if you're putting something in place that no one really understands and is splitting the city so viciously, then no, I don't agree with it.
Thank you both. What is your plan, Mr. Grant? What is your plan to expand affordable quality housing in all 8 wards?
Great question. Well, affordable housing itself has to be, really affordable. We, everybody's talking about affordable housing, but it's still not affordable. $2,500 a month, $3,500 a month. That's not affordable for people who are making, $40,000 a year, $60,000 a year. That's too expensive. They spending all their money on their living. So I believe that we have to deal with the MFI of the problem, the median family income. We're using median family income from Loudoun County, Montgomery County, and different counties to project what our people making. We got to get a real MFI. We need to lobby HUD and get this MFI straight in Washington, D.C. so people can really pay the right rent rate.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Councilman White, same question.
Thank you so much. This is a question that we've got to take very seriously because people are being priced out of our city, but there are also people who want to come here, start a family, start their future, who can't even get into our city. So when we talk about building more affordable housing, the thing that we have to focus on the most is the return on our investment. We spend so much money on affordable housing, and I continue to believe that we can get more for our investment, which is why I'm looking around the country and around the world for new models. As I've been chairing the housing committee for just over a year now, I've gotten to work. But it's not just how much affordable housing, it's we need multi-bedroom affordable housing for families. We need ownership opportunities. I'm actively working to fix the DC Housing Authority so that we can get over 1,000 public housing units back online. I hate to say it, but changing the MFI will not at all change our problem, even a little bit. All it will do is lower the income of people eligible for affordable housing in a city. It will not help us build one additional unit. So we want to continue to focus on those solutions.
Mr. Grant, if you have anything else to add, you can be given 30 seconds if you would like.
Well, we definitely have to bring back the mixed housing model where, we have different levels of income within the same unit. So we can create a community again. I believe in a community. I feel like we've gotten away from being a community again. And I really grew up in Washington, D.C. Mom's bought her first house for $100,000 off of Minnesota Avenue. And, we were able to afford to live here. Somewhere along the line, someone gave up our city and we're not able to afford to live here anymore. And we need to backtrack and find out what happened.
Thank you. Thank you both. So my question is, what is your plan to promote youth development and provide more resources for young people in Ward 8?
Is that for me? Youth development. One, we need more programs for our young people. One of my colleagues, Councilmember Matt Fruman, has a bill to expand after school programs, sports, music, the arts. That is what we need available for all of our young people. The second thing we need is vocational education opportunities. So young kids who are not planning to go to college can graduate high school making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. That is one of my priorities that I'm working to get done right now. Mentors for our young people. Young people are facing trauma and challenges unlike anything that we have ever faced. They went through a global pandemic. They're living in a time of high violence in our city, like many of us who are a little older did experience that piece, but they don't have enough supports. If we provide the supports, the mentors, and the programs for our young people, we are going to catch most of them. We are going to see them reach their highest heights. But if we don't do that, we're going to continue to see more young people go down the wrong roads and end up locked up before they realize that they could have and should have made better choices.
Thank you, Councilmember White. Mr. Grant.
This comes down to equity. You know, young people want equity just as much as when you grown. You know, equity is the key to saving our community, putting it back into our community. You know, I've been talking for about 3.5 years about vocational education to the council, doing testimonies in front of the council committee of the whole on education about vocational education. No one was listening. Now it's time to vote. Everybody's putting out, now you want to put out a bill. I'm confused about that. You know, we've been talking about this for years, trying to get you to be involved with vocational education, Robert. Now you're talking about vocational education. It to me, and I appreciate it now, but you know, let me show you how we can really do it. Let me show you how we can really put certain things in vocational education and that's innovative, new wave, and I think we can work together.
Thank you, Mr. White. If you have something to add, you have 30 seconds.
I appreciate it. I'd be happy to work with Mr. Grant on this. I've been working on vocational education for years. The first step is not usually to introduce a bill because the administration can do this without legislation. So I spent a lot of time trying to push them in the right direction. Once you hit a roadblock, you take a different route. But then it's not just in introducing a vocational education bill. It's making sure that it's designed in a way that empowers unions, that makes sure kids who go through programs actually end up in high-paying careers. So trying to make sure we get this right. I want to be right. And that's why we've been putting in the work for years. So I appreciate that.
Thank you both. So final question is, how would you ensure that the concerns and voices of Ward 8 residents are heard and represented on the DC Council? Mr. Grant.
Well, most people know that I'm a fighter. I make sure that I fight for Ward 8 in all wards. I'm a Ward 7 baby, but you know, it was a Ward 7 before, and we Ward 8 was one of the last little wards, and we love Ward 8. So, you know, it's one of the most powerful wards. And my office is in Ward 8 on Martin Luther King Avenue. And a lot of my energy is toward Ward 8. If you go up and down Ward 8, you'll see me up and down Ward 8 because that's what I believe in, my family over in Ward 8. Because when we forget about the people who need it the most, then we forget about what Washington, D.C. is and who Washington, D.C. really represents. And we can never forget about what Washington, D.C. is. And it's about family. It's about friends. It's about going out and have your nice little summertime cookout, going to Fort DuPont Park, listening to Pieces of a Dream. Let's bring that back where we don't have to be ducking bullets every day.
Thank you both. Any other remarks?
Wait, council member, did you answer the question?
I don't think it is.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm going to give you a minute. Go right ahead.
Thank you. How to hear the voices in Ward 8? You got to listen. And so listening means going to our senior homes just to talk to them about what they're experiencing, what's working, what's not working, what they need. Listening to our young people, going to their schools, asking them, what are we missing? If you could change one thing today, what would it be? And really putting those into action. That's what I do for our young people, making sure that we're creating ways for people to reach me that aren't just in the Wilson building. I do community office hours differently every single year. So I'm reaching the people who don't go to the ANC meetings and don't go to the hearings. You've got to make yourself accessible. But beyond that, you've got to make sure you're listening to people. The legislation that I develop, the programs I develop generally come from the community, not from inside my head, not from inside the Wilson building, but listening to people in our community and responding to it. I have been fighting for our communities. I've created programs in Ward 8 that don't exist anywhere else in our city because we owe it to Ward 8 to continue to show up and help make up for, frankly, lost time.
I thank both of you. And just a quick follow-up question. Because it is, it's easy for you all to reach out to us. However, we do have a responsibility as well to reach out to you all. We can't just sit back, see something, and don't, respond or do nothing to it. So how can you, because you mentioned it, Councilmember White, how can you make it more available or make us not more heard, but more available for us to willingly come to you? Because a lot of us, we don't know how, kind of. So how would you take the steps to do that?
Yeah. So one, email me, rwhite@dccouncil.gov. Hit me through social media. You will see me in the community, whether it's at libraries, senior homes, elementary schools. So I try to make it easy to reach me. But if folks need help, reach out to me. Folks around the city know, in terms of constituent services, I have one of the most responsive offices in this city. And as people need help and also need difficult things done, my office is the place many of them go.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
202-912-0216 is a number to call. Anybody can contact me directly. And I feel like that's what we have to be doing, direct contacts. What did we get away from the Marion Barry love when he can pick up his phone? We got to get back to that system where the people who are public servants and who are getting hired are picking up their phones and are making sure that the things you need get to the right people. And that's where I am. I'm going to make sure that we pick up the phone.
I thank both of you. Okay. So final question. How can the Ward 8 Democrats support your work and your efforts? You both have 30 seconds each. We can start with Mr. White. Councilmember White.
Ward 8 Dems, continue to be involved. First, vote and make sure people in your community are voting. Get involved in a campaign that you believe in, because we're working to continue to make changes in this city, real changes. I'm not running to stay elected. I'm running to keep making changes. And we need all the help we can get because government can't do it alone. Community can't do it alone. But when we're working together, we are doing powerful things. And we have proved that over the past 7 years. And we're about to show them even more in this next term.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Well, I want to thank the Ward 8 Dems for having this. The Ward 8 Dems can be involved by just continue to tell people to vote. It's really about getting our numbers up, especially in Ward 8. We have like a 22% voting rate of people who can vote. We need to get that up 60, 70%. We need to be the one who control the city as far as voting. Let's don't give up on our power to vote. That is going to be the way we change and get the city back together.
Thank you. And here is closing statements. We're gonna have both of your closing statements. You're gonna have 1 minute each. And we're gonna start with Mr. Grant.
All right. Thank you so much. First, I want to thank everybody for showing up to this important forum. And the question I want to ask is, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of bullets flying in our community and our young babies dying out here, and mothers crying and fathers crying and uncles crying? Aren't you tired of grandmothers can't get off their porch? I'm tired because every day we're facing this issue in our city. And I feel like, as much as, our council is there, they're not there. We have to have a council that's coming together, working out solutions together, not a council that's separate, that's always beefing with the mayor. And, we got to have someone in there that can have a solution base and be able to get the job done. I'm that person to get the job done. I'm Rodney Red Grant. I've been working in this beautiful field of entertainment for a long time, but I'm also a businessman, a philanthropist, and a humanitarian. I'm going to continue to be that for the city of DC and for Ward 8.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Councilmember White.
Thank you. Thank you all for hosting this. I'm going to tell you what we all know. DC is an incredible city, but we also have real problems. And we need to make sure that we have people fighting for us who are going to produce results. Everybody can point to the problems. But since I've been in office, early childhood education, addressing crime, vocational education, mentors for young people, free masters in social work program, full reform of the housing authority, huge leaps in supporting returning citizens, first jurisdiction in the nation to restore voting rights to all incarcerated people, keeping teachers in our schools, financial literacy for our young people. That is just a fraction of what we have been doing because I come here to work. I'm serious about solving problems. I'm fighting for our people. And I don't look at issues and say, oh, these are big problems. I see issues and I say, how do we get to solutions? That's what I've done. That's what I want to continue to do. That's why I'm asking for your vote and your support in this election. This election is about the future of our economy and the future of crime and problem solving in a way that supports our communities. And I'm here for the fight. Thank you so much.
Well, thank both of you for your time today and you being willing to share your proactivity here for those in Ward 8, such as you, myself, and young adults and other people. And so once again, we thank you. So now we're going to turn it back over to Troy to provide us with updates. And
if you really, really want to thank him, and I had to pry this out of him, by the way. But if you really want to thank him, because he just wanted to go along for the ride, and sure, the ride is important, but you need gas for the ride. So here is his Cash App, everybody. Please, if you are live with us right now, or if you watch this on demand, you have an opportunity to sow a seed into this young man, to thank him for moderating this panel today, panels really, but then also to support our young people. We talked a lot today about youth violence and how can we do more to prevent youth violence and to get them on the right track. Well, we have young people, most of our young people, and hear me when I say this, most of our young people are doing the right thing. And so we have to support them when they are. And so here is one way that we can do that with Khalik today. So thank you, Khalik. I appreciate it.